Hey, welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community. Just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. Welcome, everybody. Captain Matt, Boat Buyers Secret Weapon, and we are here for our Sunday night live. You'll notice a new, almost finished background. If you caught us yesterday, I actually was just doing a test run yesterday to see how the new background looked and how my new camera looked. And today, you can see I've got, let's see here if I can do this. I have got my picture right there that may go up. It may be a logo. I haven't decided yet, but my wife is awesome, and she painted my wall. She went and picked out the color, painted the wall, did it 3 coats, did it all herself. I am not allowed to paint in my house. I don't have the detail. I don't have it's a mess when I get a paintbrush in my hand. So she doesn't let me do any of that anymore. And, but she painted it. It looks awesome. And I'm super excited. It was kind of brought on by an opportunity that I am doing a guest segment on a podcast, and if things go well, may potentially be a co-host with the guy, and he's got a super successful channel that I've recommended a bunch, and really appreciate his approach, his style, and it was pretty cool to have him reach out, and hopefully if it goes well, if we click, have some chemistry, and I think it could be a really good. Even like these lives, he's a technician, so it's so speaking of my wife, that's amazing. Not only that, but she also, I cleaned out that she is not going to get on camera, but she also, we started a couple minutes late because, go ahead and shut that door, please.
Okay.
All right. I was cleaning the garage all day and just jumped out of the shower and had to get it started. And I was a minute late. So anyway, welcome. I'm excited about Tuesday. Hopefully that goes well, and hopefully I can have a announcement with more details there. So anyway, let's see who we got on. Kings of the City, welcome. Good to have you. BC Outdoors was with us last night. Good to have you. Ask some good questions. Stephen, welcome. Don't know why, but had a big challenge logging in tonight. Um, yes, it was Stephen. It was because of me. It was because of me, and I didn't on my software that I use, StreamYard, which is really simple to use. I can only schedule a day in advance, and usually I try to set it up after I finish the live. For whatever reason, I didn't do that last week, and so this week it wasn't even set up until I just clicked the button to go live. So that is probably why, and I didn't do that till it was 8:31 on my computer screen. So there is that. Tone DJ, welcome. Saw you're familiar with Sea Ray. I'm interested in buying my first boat, Sea Ray 400 sedan bridge, 440 aft cabin. What are your thoughts? Well, Tone, is you're going to struggle. Okay, you're going to struggle with a couple of things. One is if you are going to finance, you're going to struggle getting financing. And two, you're going to struggle finding somebody to write insurance on the boat. Depending on where you are, it can be harder than others, but there's a couple of things. One is lender and insurance. They want somebody to have previous boat owner experience um, before they let them have a big boat. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong with the big boat. There's a lot of stuff to know. There's a lot of stuff to maintain. It's a learning curve on operating, especially a sedan bridge. They get a lot of wind. If you're off the coast, it's you've got current, tides. You've got a lot of draft. You've got a deep boat, and it can be challenging. So on that side, that's where if I was you, that's where I would focus my attention. Is hey, I want to make sure I have insurance set up first. You can go to my website, and if you go to Boater Secret Weapon /insurance, you can get up with one of my preferred insurance providers, and just fill out the information what you're looking for, and you can have a conversation with somebody that is able to say, okay, tell me about your experience, tell me about your boating experience, and maybe they can find a carrier that will write that type of policy. Do the same thing. I've got the same thing on the loan side of thing. I may not have somebody that can do that size boat, but and make sure if you're going to finance that you have that set up beforehand, or talk to the dealer if you're buying new. If you're buying pre-owned, then go to a marine lender and find out your options there. Somebody like Trident Funding, somebody like who is Rec Lending. Rec Lending. Todd is the president over there. I've been trying to talk to him to get him on my loan network. And as far as boats go, if you're looking new, well, actually, you can't be looking new, can you? Sea Ray 400 Dancer. Where are they stopping? They're stopping at 390. Or are they stopping at 400 now? Yeah. Okay. So it's got to be used, because they stopped production of the yachts and sport yachts. So in that case, you need to watch my video, how to buy a used boat, how to buy a used cruiser, and that looks like this right here. This video, and I'm not sharing my screen at all, so you didn't see any of that. This one right here, how to buy a used cruiser. Watch that video. It's 36 minutes long, and that will be very helpful. This is what that boat insurance page looks like, and just fill out some information, and then in the back end it'll say, okay, you're in this area looking for this type of boat with this type of credit. Here is the the insurance provider that may be a good fit for you. Okay. So that's what I thought I was showing you before. And this is, I haven't seen this one, used cruiser boat buying tips, 97 Chaparral 290, used boat TV. I don't know. I haven't watched that video, but I would, if I was buying a used cruiser, I would watch my video for sure. And I would watch that one and see what you come up with. But the biggest thing is first time boat buyers buying boats over 30 feet. There's the challenge of boat loans, boat insurance, and what they may require is say, hey, I really want to buy this boat. Okay, we'll do it for you, but you have to run it with a licensed captain, somebody that has one of these. I'm a 25-ton master, and somebody that can run that boat for you and train you for a year, year and a half, 2 years until the captain says, "Hey, Tone DJ is set. He knows what he's doing. I'm going to turn the helm over to him." They sign a form with the insurance company, and the insurance company says, "Okay, now we'll write your policy with you running the boat, and you can do it that way." So hopefully that's valuable for you before you get too deep into the process. I have a buddy of mine, Tone, that was looking to do the same type of thing. He went down to Wilmington, North Carolina, got his sailing certificate, and he was sailing 36, 42-foot sailboats. I don't know anything about sailboats, but he loved it. And he said, "Matt, I want to buy a sailboat and move onto it and be a liveaboard and sail it some." And I was like, "Well, first thing you need to do is you need to go out and buy yourself a boat, any boat. Like you need to just have a boat. And then you need to, when you know what size you're going to get, you need to get one that's 10 feet smaller than your dream boat. And you need to run that for a year. Run that for a year, and then you can move up. So run a 30-footer for a year, get your boat ownership, get your experience, get the insurance on it. You got the boat history or the credit history of the loan. And now you move up to the 40-footer, and now you won't have as big of a challenge. So that might be the right approach. And that's what I recommended he did. And he went out and he just bought a 20-some foot Chaparral bow rider to run on a lake around here. And now he's got the boat ownership history under his belt. And so now it's just a matter of he'll buy a bigger boat, because I think he wants like a 40-some to live on. And so he'll buy something in the 30 range, run that for 6 months to a year. When they give him the okay, now he buys the one that he really wants. Cheers. Hey, Ray, how you doing from Indiana? Robert Brum, welcome. That's awesome, Matt. Hope it works out for you. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited. And we talked for an hour the other day. Just he reached out and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about my podcast. Maybe be a guest." I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And he dialed. I'm like, are we recording the podcast now, or are we just having a conversation? He's like, "No, we're just talking now." And we it seemed like we clicked pretty well. And I think the big thing is when we do an episode or two, we blocked out 4 hours on Tuesday, so we'll do 2, maybe 3 episodes and decide, is there chemistry? And that's really what it I think comes down to. 211, good to have you. Hopefully you're on the water at Cumberland. If not, hopefully you had a good weekend. Ryan Moody, welcome. Good evening, Captain. Quick question. What is the best course of action if you're offshore, deep sea fishing, center console, unexpected Florida thunderstorm is between you and land? Okay, so what you want to do is figure out which direction it's moving. So radar, visual, like which way is the wind blowing. You should have the weather forecast. Grab your VHF radio, go to the weather channel, get all the information you can about, okay, what direction is that moving and where do I need to go? So maybe your approach is you say, okay, I'm going to go up and then over. I'm going to go down and then over. And I'm going to avoid it. Or, hey, I'm going to stay put. I'm going to stay here and because it's going to pass by and I can get safely by. If it is, hey, this is the situation and it's going to hit us, make sure you put yourself in a make sure you put yourself in a nose into the storm running position. So if the storm's coming at me like this, I want to take those waves over the bow. And all I want is bare steerage. All I want is enough throttle in that to keep directional control so that the waves don't get me pushed sideways and potentially capsize, right? So you just keep your nose into it. And if it's the worst case scenario, Ryan, is you just you get yourself through the storm. You batten everything down, get everybody in their life vest, and you go through it as best you can. But if you know which way it's going and you can just go around it, it's why having the right amount of fuel is so important. And we talk about it in um, this program right here. This is the Confident Coastal Boater program. And what I did is most of my experience is inland. I've boated at the coast and I've run boats at the coast and I've got some skill. But what I did is I actually hired, I don't know if there's, yeah, I actually hired a captain that is a charter captain down in Wilmington, North Carolina. And he was one of the instructors when I got my captain's license. So he ran, what is he? He's been running boats for 40 years. He was up on the Chesapeake. He's run boats down in Florida. He's been in Wilmington he was a 20-year cop. I don't know. I think it was up in Maryland or DC, somewhere like that. So he's very safety conscious. And we have this exact conversation. And what I do is in the program, not only do we go out on the water and do we just show you some maneuvers on, okay, this is how you get to know your boat, but we also talk a lot about weather and we talk about tides and we talk about currents and we talk about navigation. We use the fish weather app and I'm blanking on the other one, but there's two apps that we recommend and say, hey, these are the apps that you need to look at, and here's how you kind of figure out the best you can for the weather. Now, there's pop-up squalls all the time down in Florida, and you need to know, what am I going to do when that happens? And so that's the best course of action, is figure out what's it doing, which direction is it going, can I avoid it, and make sure I've got the fuel to avoid it, know how to think through that process. But worst case is, son of a gun, I got to it's going to hit me. It's going to hit me. Well, how do I get myself in a position to take that storm bow into the storm? The waves are going to be coming with the same direction as the wind. And how do I keep it like this and just keep that throttle as low as possible? You're not in that situation. You're not necessarily trying to get anywhere. You're trying to get through it. And, the nature of those storms is they pop up and they go. So it's not like you're going to be running for, 2 hours in a storm probably. But he told me a story of that happening to him and what he did. He's like, it was the worst situation I've ever been on, but life jackets on. If you feel it's necessary to make a pon call, it's not a mayday situation, but if you're like, this is a bad one, maybe make a pon. Probably not if your boat is capable and you're capable, you got plenty of fuel. But then get that nose into it, stay on the throttle, just almost like if you're going through an inlet, off the throttle as you're going up and down those waves as the situation requires. So hopefully, Ryan, that's helpful for you. Oh, dang it. It's called the Confident Coastal Boater. I don't know why I've been so bad lately about showing. Just go to confidentcoastalboater.com and it will pop up for you. All right, so let's see here. Nelson, welcome. Hey, Captain Matt, wondering why you don't recommend the 2023 Mercury 150. I don't know that I didn't recommend that motor. Um, uh, I don't believe I've ever said that. Now, what you may be thinking of is, let me see here, Team Marine 150 horsepower Merc. So this may be the guy that you're thinking of. Now, if you've been listening to me talk, it's going to be hard for you to confuse the two of us. But what you may be talking about, I don't know for sure, is um, the 150 Pro XS. And I don't personally know of any of these issues. I prefer the Mercury four stroke. To me, the Pro XS is too loud. I don't like, but if you're a bass boat guy, like Andy is on Team Marine, is hey, that is the engine that goes on almost all bass boats because it's got the two stroke sound, it's got the quicker acceleration, it runs at higher RPMs, and that's why Mercury built it the way they did. They have been having issues with them, from what I understand, but I am not. I have never not recommended that engine. Um, watching some of the comments from Andy on, and I don't know if you can see him that good, but he, one, doesn't look like me. He's much more handsome, and two, his personality is up to 11. My personality is about a 5. I'm pretty laid back, pretty low key. He's at an 11, but he's a tech. He's actually working on these engines all the time, specifically the Pro XS, because he's a bass boat guy up in Wisconsin, and so he gets a lot of bass boats in, which are either going to have the Yamaha show or the Mercury Pro XS. He's also a Suzuki. I think he's a Suzuki dealer, and he promotes Suzuki a lot. But that would be my guess. Tone, the cutoff is usually about 30. So if you've never owned a boat before, usually 30 feet is kind of the max they want to go. But what I would recommend, because it also depends on your boating experience, they're going to take a number of things into consideration. It's not just a hard and fast rule. So I would call an insurance company, or go to my insurance page, call a lender, or go to a boat dealer. If you're going to buy newer or buy through a dealer, hey, just go and talk to a dealer and see if you can get pre-approved, and start having those conversations. But 37 is going to be too big, probably, unless you have a significant amount of boating experience, is what I would say. Are Bayliner boats any good? Well, I've got a video on that. Let's see, what did I call it? Do Bayliners suck? Sorry, Bo, if you're on here. Okay. Do Bayliners suck? The unbiased truth. I created this video 2 years ago. There was a time when Bayliner was a terribly built boat. There's stories of, at the boat show, that you could, if you hit it hard enough, they were using just chopper gun with no Roven woven, and no structure to it. That was in the 80s when they were just figuring out chopper gun. They are right now, and I would say they have been for the past 20 years, an acceptable boat. Are they the best? Not even close. Are they great for a new person getting into boating that has a budget? Absolutely. And it's exactly what I say in this video. Somehow I take 20 minutes to say all of this, and go through the history, go through ones that you want to stay away from. If you go too old with the Force engines, that's 30 plus years ago. But if you think about it, Sea Ray is premium, Bayliner is value. They both have a Mercury or a Mercruiser on it. They've got the same exact engine. Now, the rigging is run a little bit different. You know, the fuel cell. This is what I notice on when I look at inexpensive boats. A value brand is what I call them compared to a mid-tier or premium. Is because they'll go the cheaper route because they have to save money to get the price down, right? So instead of running the fuel line in a way that has gradual bends in it, they'll make more sharp bends at times if they have to. And it can be harder to fuel up, or you got to get the nozzle at just the right angle. Otherwise, you get back spray. You know, the steering cable, it has a sharper bend in it, or something gets zip tied. It gets too tight and it gets bound up. The fiberglass isn't nearly as thick. The lamination schedule of, okay, we lay, if you know how a boat's built, gel coat, barrier layer, glass and material, woven or whatever material they're using, dry, another layer, another layer, another layer. Bayliner is going to use cheaper products in the woven. It's not going to be as high a count. It's not going to be, maybe it's not cross hatched. Maybe it's, you know, and they're going to do it cheaper because they sell their boats for 30 grand cheaper. So they've got to cut out $30,000 worth of labor and material. That's just the reality of it. They're making the same percentage as Sea Ray, but they've got to cut their material and labor costs. So how do they do it? They don't pay as much on their factory floor, which means they don't get the skilled level of employees, and they use cheaper products. Not, instead of 316 stainless, they use 306. Instead of using a big heavy duty cleat, they use a little bit smaller cleat. Instead of backplating with the big heavy duty backplate, they put a washer. Instead of using 316 stainless nuts and bolts, they use 306 stainless nuts and bolts. All of those little things, $100 here, $500 there, $200 there, an extra hour saved there, gets that boat price down. But in the reality, that boat, it's not going to ride as well. It's going to have little things that break down. It's going to have, the upholstery is going to be thinner. It's going to rip easier. All of that stuff is going to be true, but it's a safe boat. If you want to take your family on it, you know how to operate it, it's going to be just as safe in normal pleasure boating conditions as virtually any other boat. Now, if you run over a jetty, it's going to get a hole in it easier. If you drop the anchor on the seat a little bit hard, it's going to tear it, where maybe a Cobalt or a Chaparral wouldn't. Then that's where is it worth 30 grand for you to get that? Does that fit into your budget even? Nope. Okay, then Bayliner is going to be adequate. So it depends on the person too. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Hamza Abu Shaban. What do you think the best bang for your buck is for a brand new boater? I'm looking at the Axopar 21 T-top. Well, center console only. It really depends on where you're boating, what you want to do, how many people you're going to have with you, and there's also, like we talked about with BC, is what is valuable to you. So I would say if you're going to look in the center console world, watch my video, best and worst center console under 26 feet. So this video is a year old. It's actually probably a year and a half. But I went to the Charleston Boat Show and I inspected all the boats there. And what I do is I put them in a tier: premium, mid-tier, value. Most bang for your buck is going to be the value tier, right? Axopar is one. I hadn't inspected Axopar when I created this video, so they're not on the list. Axopar is significantly higher, but I'm going to pull up an Axopar here. Par 22. So this style, and Hamza, I'm wondering where you're located. Are you in the U.S.? this style of boat just made it into the US in the last couple of years. It's kind of become more popular. So answer those questions and I'm going to come back to you. Okay. If you would, Hamza, where do you boat? What are you going to do on it? Like, who's going to be with you? Is it family? Are you fishing? Are you like this boat? This boat is great for, that's why they call it an adventure boat, right? It's great for going out and you've got a lot of amenities to, if you're going to pull up on an island and camp out, you got stowage for all that. Not as much on the 22 as some of the other ones, but matter of fact, I didn't know that they made one that small. That's their smallest one. But and the boat seemed to be built real well, but I've never even run that style of boat, so I can't speak to that. But give me more detail on you and how you're going to use it and where you're going to use it, and then I'll come back to you. Okay. All right, Dustin, welcome back. Early start meeting. Happy to be here. That's 2 days in a row. Yeah. I was talking to my wife and I was like, you know what I might start doing is I might just start going live randomly when I've got half hour to spare and just start and see if maybe there's another day when there's a big pocket of people that I could do a regular one or just be, maybe it's just a, hey, make sure you subscribe because you never know when I'm going to jump on. But welcome. Got one day on the lake, at least this weekend, pretty quiet today. That is good. We went out. I don't think I sent myself any of the pictures and I don't have my phone, but we went out Friday night and we have got a pretty awesome thing here. Carolina team. So we have a show ski team that operates on Lake Wiley, which is the lake I prefer. It's the lake I sold boats on. They've got a pretty good team. And every Friday at 7 o'clock, they practice. Okay. And when they practice, think about it. They've got to be on the lake. They've got to kind of block off an area so they don't have boat traffic come through. And it's like theater on the water. So they've got a story like this one that you see. Let me go big on that. This one that you see is it was superhero. Their story was based around superheroes. And for practice, every Friday, what they do is they say, okay, we invite the public out to come. They buoy it off. So they've got Towboat US that kind of directs traffic. And then you can come for free. They take donations and that helps support the team, but it allows them to practice their routines so they can go to regionals. And if they make that, they can go to nationals and they can do their competition. So we took some friends out with us, did a little bit of tubing, beforehand, and just got some Jersey Mike sandwiches and some food and cruised over, anchored out, and watched the ski show for an hour and a half. They do jumps, they do swivel skiing, trick skiing. They built this is swivel skiing, if you're not familiar. But they do cool things, and they're junior high school, college kids. Some of the parents are like the base of the pyramids are oftentimes the dads. But they did 2 of these 3-tier pyramids. They did a double, and they start off the dock. So that's when we went out on Friday, and I love it. It is so much fun because they're incredible skiers. But I bet there was 30 boats there or 40 boats there. It was really windy, and we needed to get some people on the best boat captain how to anchor portion, or at least get chains on their anchors. But it's a really, really fun time. So anyway, yeah, we got out there on Friday, and I like to, if you can, my job and my wife's job allow us to get out during the week, and that's when I prefer to go. I'm in Maryland, by the way. I'm also thinking of buying in October. Should I just wait until spring? No, it's really interesting that the cruiser market is much more active in the fall. I don't know. I still don't know why it is exactly, but there's a lot more cruisers that come on the market in the fall. A lot more purchases of cruisers in the market. make sure you do a survey, but start with talking to a lender, talking to an insurance company, so you don't get all the way. And I'm telling you, it's not going to be easy for you if you've never owned a boat. So make sure that you start those conversations now, and you'll be in a much better position. You also, Tone, there is, let's see here, Captain Boomies and broker with beard. So if you've ever seen Captain Boomies, she's a captain up in your area, up in Maryland, and she does a podcast with I don't know, Jason might be his name, but he's his broker with the beard, and he's a yacht broker up there in Maryland. I don't know exactly where they are, but you may want to reach out to him. Very knowledgeable. Seems to be a really honest broker. Might be worth a conversation with him, or at least reaching out, and he can set you up with some local lenders, and maybe there's opportunities that he's aware of. This, yeah, here you go. This is him. The Funny Boat Podcast is their podcast, and it would be worth checking him out since you're in the Maryland area. What's the name of the program? I think Confident Coastal Boater is that program. Let's see here. Tom, welcome, Tom. Thanks for all you do, Captain. I have learned a lot listening to your advice. Well, good. That's the idea. I'm very glad and glad to have you be part of the community, Tom, for sure. BC, you're welcome. Michael, sup, Captain. Across all manufacturers, the quality of finish has dropped significantly. You think that's going to improve anytime soon? Yes, I do. I think it's a factor of a couple things. Is one, in the past, well, since any boat that was built after, let's call it August, let's call it August 2020 or so. So from that time, people were buying boats that were in inventory or been built during normal times, right? COVID hit in April or March, April, whatever, shut things down in April. The boom started. So there was 4 months where boats were flying off the shelf. Supply chain was screwed up, so they couldn't get the material that they needed. They were scrambling for material, so they went from this vendor who they've been using for 20 years and has been consistent. Now they went to this vendor. Maybe the quality wasn't as good with that vendor. The other thing that happened is the material wasn't consistent coming in. We are missing this 50-cent piece that has to go in the build process at this stage. And if it doesn't, well, then we can't get to it anymore because of the way a boat's built. Even this little toy boat is the shoebox fitting. So you've got the hull, and then you've got the deck, and they're joined together. So I've got to pop these little tabs out if I want to get to any of the wiring that's inside. I didn't even think about this demonstration. This might be good if I can make it happen. But come on. But anyway, you can see, like, that's once this is joined together, once the boat is joined together, well, you just can't get to certain things. And if you're a boat owner, you know this, that you try to, let's say your bow ladder comes out or a cleat strips out. You can't get your hand up in there at times, and let alone if you're trying to get wiring done, you just can't get to it. So that caused boats to stop in production and then get picked up later down the line. Do you want to say hi?
Yeah.
Okay. We got it.
Painted your wall and they rebooted.
Yeah.
Not need a green screen.
Yeah, just so it looks nicer. Say hi. This is my youngest.
Hi.
All right, that's much better than last time. Thank you. All right, love you. So
Get a bracelet.
Sure.
Which one?
You can make me one that says boat on it, but
I
make the
have
boat
one.
go the right way this time.
No.
All right. Love you.
I'm not making one.
So anyway, so the starting and stopping of production caused problems because a boat that goes from the full process, start to finish in 6 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever it is, that boat is smooth flowing. Everything's there. Everybody's working. Now, you also during the pandemic, you have, hey, I was exposed. I've got to lay out, or I'm sick. Everybody, you could call in sick, and it wasn't like, oh, are you really sick? It's like, oh, you're even a little bit sick. Stay away. And so now the line is changing. So that supply chain got better, but there was still huge demand, and they were short supply. So what do? They opened up a third, fourth line, and they were trying to push boats out as quickly as they could. And you're right, they weren't quality controlling them as well. They had lost some of their, because they had layoffs in before we knew that the COVID was going to cause a boating boom. There was layoffs, like, oh crap, the world's shutting down. We're going to lay these people off. And then they realized, oh, I can get a job doing something else, paying more, and I don't have to work in a smelly fiberglass boat factory, or I don't have to work in that environment. I can go do something else and make more money. So they lost a lot of quality people. All of that has added up to the quality of the boats across the board was down. We are now at a point where, in just a couple of weeks ago, Mastercraft. So just a couple of weeks ago, July 3rd, is Mastercraft laid off 300 employees. And that's because demand is down. Inventory levels are up. Their dealers aren't ordering as many boats. So what that means is the 300 employees that they laid off are the ones that are least tenured. It sucks for them, but it's going to leave the people that are the highest quality, and it's going to allow them. They're not trying, instead of running a production line that let's say 100 boats can be built on that production line a year. Well, they were trying to get 120 out of that line 2 years ago. Quality is going to suffer. Now that line can produce 100 boats, and they're only going to put 80 down that line. And so that allows things to go a little bit slower, a little bit more quality, a little bit more inspection before we move to the next phase. And I think that's gonna improve. And frankly, if you're charging 100, 200, 250 grand for these boats, and there's quality issues, you're going to lose a lot of the market. So if they don't get it fixed, if they don't improve it, they're just going to push a generation of boaters out of boating. They're going to say, I'm not buying a new boat. I'm going to go buy a 2010 that was better built, and it's half the price. Or I'm going to leave boating altogether. Bessie. All right. No fishing, just a day boat for touring, traveling, semi-king distances in South Florida. Let's see here. I'm not sure what semi. I'm assuming you're not going far. So yeah, the Axopar is a good day boat. As far as bang for your buck, it looks cool. Here's what I'll say about it: it's going to be a boat that's going to turn heads because there's not a ton of them on the market. There's more down in South Florida than in most places. But if you're looking bang for the buck, like a 22 Key West center console is going to be good. And you don't say the number of people that are with you, but let's see. And I don't know that 22 is the right size for you or not, but if it is, something like this, Key West, a Sportsman, let's say a Sea Pro. If you like that center console style, Sea Pro 22. The and if you're looking for a day boat, probably not the Bay Boat series. I would go with the Deep V, is because if you're in South Florida and we go through some rougher inlets, and make sure you know how to handle those. We've all seen wavy boats and qualified captain. Know how to operate your boat properly in those conditions going through an inlet. Know when that inlet, I think hull over specifically, but any inlet, you should be able to read the tides and the winds and know when that inlet's going to be at its worst. Okay, by waiting a couple hours or getting out a couple hours earlier, you can really save yourself some challenging boating conditions. And but something like those, and again, watch the best and worst center console video, because that's going to give you a whole list of mid-tier, and there's a bunch of them in the mid-tier that's going to be bang for the buck. When I think bang for the buck, I think, hey, it's not the most expensive, but you get a lot of boat and it's quality. It's not the cheapest. I don't think bang for the buck is necessarily the cheapest. If that's what you mean by bang for the buck, those mid-tier boats are the ones that I would steer for. Okay, all right, let me. All right, so this is the list of center console manufacturers. So there's 60 of them, and that's not at a full list either. I go through how they're built, the construction process, so you can understand why a value boat is a value boat, and then you can also go and inspect it in person. But here's where I put the mid tier: Sportsman, Key West, Sea Pro, Nautic Star, Robalo, Creval, Sea Hunt, Scout, Pathfinder. Their Creval's probably closer to the top mid tier, with Sea Hunt and Scout. Pathfinders is quality. All these, they're good boats, and they're going to give you that bang for the buck. Okay, the value boats. Let's see here. There's not many. And I actually, there we go. Yeah, so I inspected 22 brands. There's just 60 that I found. There we go. So Mako, Tidewater, Sea Fox, and Trophy. I am moving Tidewater back into the mid tier. That it was some of what who was that? Michael was saying about the quality control. The boats I inspected in 2021, I think, maybe 2022, were awful. They were. I was like, I thought Tidewater did a way better job than this, but they were terrible. I inspected them at this year's boat show 2023. Way better, significantly better, what I expect. So if I was to shoot this video today, and I will redo this one, I would move Tidewater into the mid tier, for sure. But Mako, Sea Fox, Trophy, I would say are in that value category. You know, you get what you pay for at a certain point. Sea Fox is going to give you a lot of boat for the money, in size wise, but you just see some of the little things that they do where that's how they're keeping the price down. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful for you. Tone, you're very welcome. Jacob's Life Adventure, welcome. Hey, Captain, you told me to come today to ask a certain someone in here. Oh, yes. So you know what's funny is Brock. I did not see him in the comments yet. He fishes a lot of tournaments, but Brock, if you're on, Jacob was on the live last night. You were on for just a little bit. and he had a question about the best electronics to put on his boat. So if you are here, I'll let her know you said hi. Uh, if you're here, if you wouldn't mind popping in the comments, I would appreciate it. And maybe what I should do is invite Brock on as and do a video with me about electronics. That might be a good move. So I've got that. All right, so we'll see. And if he's fishing a tournament this weekend, sometimes he pops in a little later. So I will, if I see him, I'm going to come back to you. Okay, Jacob. Um, let's see. KC Top Dog Fishing. Hey, Captain Matt, love the channel and the live streams. I learned so much from your videos and your programs, including the best boat captain, single engine outboard. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. I love it. That's exactly what I like to hear. And that's why I created those programs. I'm interested in getting the ocean saltwater program you offer next, since I live in Washington, Puget Sound, mainly just got to the lakes, rivers right now. Yeah, the Confident Coastal Boater is, well, I think I closed it down now, but Confident Coastal Boater.com. So there's the website. I just put it in the comments. ConfidentCoastalBoater.com will get you to that program. Awesome. Experience confidence throughout, shared knowledge, training videos provide. Yeah, you're very welcome. And like I said, in that program, I actually hire a charter boat captain that his saying is, if every day, his goal in life is for every day to be a salt day. That means he got on the boat every single day. And when we were out there, hurricane, I don't know what it was offshore, a couple hundred miles, but it was blowing our direction. So we got some really good opportunity in some nice conditions, because we filmed for 2 days, and then we got some more nasty conditions, which was good, and helpful. So okay, semi long distances. So that's Hamza. I would look for fuel capacity. That would be something that, figure out what semi long distances are to you, and then kind of the rule of thumb, if you're going and coming back in the same trip, or if you're going and stopping, overnighting, and then coming back. And when I say overnighting somewhere where they have fuel, make sure that the rule of thirds is what they call it. I've got a third to get there, a third to get back, and a third for overage, a third for, we talked about, if a squall pops up, which is common down in your area, if a storm pops up, and man, now I've got to run north an extra 5 miles so that I can cut over and miss that nasty storm. Or, hey, I've got to just go into the storm and I got to run for 30 minutes of just getting beaten and getting through it. Well, that's going to burn a lot of fuel if you're going up against the storm, and that's what that backup third is for. A third there, third home, and a third reserve, and understanding how to calculate those numbers. So, what's my gallon per hour burn at my normal rate, right? So I've got, let's say I've got a 250 Yamaha, and I'm going to run 4,500 RPM. So I'm probably burning, I don't know, I'll just ballpark it, 12, 13 gallons an hour, maybe a little bit more depending on your weight and what the conditions. All right. So 13 gallons an hour, it's going to take me 2 hours to get there. So I'm going to burn 26 gallons to get there, 26 gallons to get back. And now I need 26 gallons in reserve. Okay. Does my tank allow that? Does the boat that I want allow that? Maybe I would venture to say that Axopar has some of the bigger fuel cells in that 22-foot range, because they're built for exploring. They're built for those longer journeys. So it's something that you definitely want to consider if those semi-long distance trips are in your future. And especially if you're going, hey, I'm going to run to an island. I'm not just running down the intercoastal waterway from South Florida down to the Keys. I'm actually going from South Florida and I'm going to the Bahamas. I'm making that run. Okay, then figure out your fuel needs, and do I have to carry extra to make that trip, or can I do it? I'm going to do it once a month. Well, then I want the fuel cell to hold everything. I'm going to do it once a year. Okay, I can put it in some jugs and just take that with me as backup. Um, you're very welcome. Glad to help. Michael, your comment on the supply, I may just wait another year or two. Um, yeah, I had a guy, I forget what his name is. You may have noticed him in the comments on my Barletta pontoon video. I'm still of the belief that Barletta pontoon is the best pontoon in the industry. But he sent me pictures of the one. He bought two Barlettas. Okay, he bought the first one and he was totally disappointed with. I got him connected with the president of Barletta, of the company. I'm not affiliated with them. I don't make any money from them in any way. Other if they advertise on YouTube, I do, but that's because they advertise on YouTube, not with me. And so I connected them just because I had their contact information. I knew them, and I was like, they're the reason I like them is their customer service. He wasn't happy. He sold that boat and bought another one. And was thoroughly disappointed with that one as well. And he sent me pictures and some videos. And it's some of it the dealer should have caught before they delivered it and got it fixed. I think he had a really crappy dealer too, which didn't help anything. But there was also some things that like it should have not left the factory that way. I don't know when he took delivery of that boat, but it was built within the last, I would venture to say, 6 to 8 months. And not the level of quality that as I would expect Barletta to turn loose from their floor. It was their value brand, or it was their value model, so their least expensive model, but was still super disappointing for me. And something that, and what I told him, I'm like, I'm gonna do some more digging. But I looked at Barletta's at the boat show this year. I look at them all, and I didn't see those types of things. So maybe it was he just got two bad ones. Maybe they were both COVID type boats. But I've heard Yamaha have had similar issues, but I would expect them all to start getting better. And Michael, to be honest with you, I think there's going to continue. My dad texted me the other day and said, "Hey Matt, I think we are. I think we're getting a new. We're going to look at a new pontoon. How much is ours worth if we trade it?" So I'm like, well, first of all, you need to go watch my videos. My own dad has never watched any of my videos. He doesn't know how to get on YouTube, I guess. But I told him, I'm like, hey, at least wait till the winter. You're going to get the best deal in the winter. And, they're in the Midwest at the Ozarks is where they keep their pontoon. So the season's pretty much over. By the time they were to get it in, it would be mid-August. And, they put the boat away in September. So I'm like, just wait. I think there's going to be better deals to be had in November or so, especially in the Midwest. I think that's also going to be true if you were to say November of 2024. I think there will continue to be better deals unless the economy recovers and boat sales take off again. But I see them staying at a lower level. Can you post the link? All right, there you go. So you got that. All right. All right. Timmy, welcome. Good to have you. BC, ever go boating in Canada? I have not. I have been to Montreal for business and to Whistler for vacation, but I've not done any boating in Canada. Although I've had people from the channel that have bought boats with the information that have got my best boat captain training and sent me pictures. And there's some of the places have been just stunning. I would like to. There's a number of places I would like to go boating that I haven't. But no, I have not been up that way on the water. KC Top Dog, that coastal boater is very informative. I'm Southwest Texas and on Intercoastal Waterway, often helps a lot. I'm on Sabine Lake in the river area. All right, so you know when I hear a new name of a lake, I got to check it out. Sabine Lake in Texas. All right, so that's just off the Gulf. Outside Beaumont. On the Texas-Louisiana border. And that flows right in. Is that okay? So there's a river that's coming into it. Okay, interesting. Very nice. Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out, if there was houses on the water there. Looks like some pretty nice one. Does that open up into? Can you get to the Gulf from there? I'm wondering. Causeway Bridge. Yeah, okay. So that looks like you can. Sabine Pass. Yeah. All right. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I always like to see where everybody else is boating. What's going on, friends? Jacob's Light Venture sent me the link to the live stream showing the support listening. Welcome. Good to have you. Evil Empire Gaming. Share with a good friend as well. He'll love the channel. I appreciate that. Welcome, guys. Welcome. And let's see. Michael says, how's boating in Canada? Don't you guys get like 2 weeks of unfrozen waterways? That it's, from what I hear, you've got to getting in the water. It's a little chilly. Like boating in some of the lakes that have the mountain runoff is that water can be awfully cold as well. Louisiana Texas border. I'm in Nederland. Beaumont opens up to the Gulf. Jetties are at the inlet. Great redfish and trout fishing. Nice. Definitely in the plans to get the coastal boating. Awesome, guys. Appreciate it. All right, so we're just at an hour here. Let's see. Unfortunately, who is it? That's not KC. Oh, Jacob's Life. All right, so we don't have Brock here yet. Oh, okay, I missed this one. Do you have any 6.5-inch speakers you recommend? Now speakers are blown. We offer some speakers on the boat speakers. I can't tell you that these are great speakers. I've not used any of these, but the Fusion ones, you'll find those on some of the boats from the factory. Boss is pretty good, but the big thing is just make sure you get marine speakers. And Jacob, I don't know what style of boat you have, but just make sure they're marine so that because they're going to get wet at some point. Just and don't spray them directly with water. Um, are kind of the big things. Pioneers are going to be good, but I'm not. I'm not a huge speaker guy. Like it's kind of like the electronics is. I don't have a ton of insight there. But if you find something that is a good price and fits what you're looking for, we do offer them. Who do I know? I don't know any channels that have good marine audio reviews on them. Maybe what I should do is I need to get up with Mike's Liquid Audio. There's an audio guy here that I know that did a lot of work for clients for me when I was selling boats, and I wonder if I could get him to do a series of videos with me talking about best and worst speakers, stereos, systems, mistakes that you can make, things like that. I wonder if you'd be interested in that. That is, I think, worth writing down for me here. Mike's audio videos, best and worst mistakes. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna work on that. Thank you for asking that question because that's how I get a lot of my good comments is is the questions that you guys ask. I'm like, oh, I bet a lot of people are wondering that. And sometimes I don't have the knowledge. Like, hey, asking Brock or somebody that has that real world experience. I don't usually like to go to the Garmin people because they're going to try to sell their product. I prefer to go to just guys that have experience, kind of like myself. It's like I don't have all the experience. I've got a good amount of experience and I can share some things and I study it a decent amount because it's what I do for a living. Um, but there's if I can pull in other people that have that expertise, I think that will be helpful as well. Hey, passport filler, welcome. Good to have you. 2008 Cobia center console fiberglass. Yeah, it definitely. I mean, it's these are drop ship, so they're coming from a major distributor in the marine industry, and they just ship them for me. I think the prices are competitive. Double check it, and if they're Jacob, if they're way out of line, let me know because my goal in it is to provide good quality products. Like I cut out the products that I'm like, I don't like this. And so the speakers, I don't have all of the speakers I could have. I've got the brands that I know are put in boats and that are good in the marine space. I don't know what's great, but I have cut out a decent amount in all of the different categories. And I think the overall products that I can sell from them are like 12,000 or something like that. And I only offer 4,000 products on my site because I cut out the things that I'm like, I don't, that's a dumb product. I don't like that brand or whatever. And tried to curate it a decent amount, which took some work. And we're still working on the navigation and stuff. Oh yeah, out in Vancouver. I've been up to um, oh the San Juan Islands. It's I haven't been all the way out there, but a buddy of mine, I was on his what was it, a 40-foot, I would call it a trawler probably. And we stayed overnight on that boat when I was up visiting him, and because when I went to Whistler, I was actually up there, and so we stopped by and said hey to him, and we ended up staying on his boat because we went out a little bit too hard that night, and it was walking distance to the boat, not walking distance to his house. So I'm all about helping. Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yes, I definitely profit from it. There's some of the things on my site I don't, but most of the things I'll get some sort of a fee from it, or like the Amazon commission if it's through Amazon. Although I don't like Amazon because I can't control the quality. I can't control that it's not a Chinese part, and that's why I like this distributor that I have a lot more. So, all right, it looks like all of the questions have slowed down. Jacob's Life, I apologize, Brock wasn't here to get your actual question answered, but he's here on most of them. Join us back, and that will give me the motivation to try to put together an electronics type video and do some of that, as well as audio, as well as the speakers and stuff. So check out all of our free programs. We've got all sorts of content on the site. We've got all of our courses that you can check out if you just go to boaterssecretweapon.com. Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon will get you there too. But I had to change the website because that website got hacked through Facebook, and so I had to start a different URL so that we could work with Facebook. But anyway, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the likes and the shares and inviting your friends. That is really, really helpful. And I will see you guys next weekend, or maybe I'll just do a random live like I did last night and see what happens. So make sure you subscribe, and remember, life truly is better on a boat. Thanks, everybody.